Hello viewers, welcome to Express Politics on TVRC. I am Habitunde Somi Vincent. Joining me on set today is Comrade Oluloro Emmanuel, the then Assistant Secretary General of Polytechnic of Ibadan and currently an health official of the aforementioned institution. Comrade Emmanuel, good to have you around today.
Thank you very much, sir.
Today we shall be looking at 2023 general election and the youth readiness. Let's commence from this pedestal. Do you think the youth are ready to take back this country?
Well, if I should get the question very well, I think you're talking about youth getting involved
in politics, in mainstream politics.
Yeah, I'm very sure, and I believe that the youth are more ready, 100% ready.
Okay, let's use you as a yardstick to measure the readiness of the youth. You personally, what is your level of consciousness? I mean, your level of consciousness now as regards Nigeria's politics.
Well, if I was talking about my level of consciousness as regards Nigerian politics, I'm a kind of person that even on my Facebook wall, you see they're interested in politics.
Okay, you've been canvassing, you've been talking about Nigerian politics on your platforms.
Yes, I have been showing my readiness. I'm more curious and eager about involving in Nigerian politics.
Okay, if we are to measure from the scale of 1 to 10, put yourself on the scale.
My level of consciousness,
yes.
I would say 8 over 10.
8 over 10. Okay,
Yes.
that's commendable. All right, let's go to the next question. What's your what kind of orientation? Sorry, I beg your pardon. What kind of orientation and dispositions do you have towards Nigerian politics? I mean, what's your level of awareness? Now, when you look at from all spheres, all sectors, you look at all the arms of government, the tiers of government. What kind of awareness do you hold? I mean, your level of disposition towards, are you the type that, you have a very nonchalant attitude, or you just don't care, or you have a minute attitude towards the approach of towards the Nigerian politics?
You know what? As an individual, if I want to be sincere, I'm a kind of person that I love selfless service to humanity, and which I believe this should be the main reason and one of the core of politics. But though the reverse is the case in this country. But notwithstanding, when I'm talking about my involvement in Nigerian politics, the orientation, how aware I am, I could say I am much aware of this Nigerian politics. And I am even trying to make my feasibility studies and background check and more research about Nigerian politics and how I can come in, how I can contribute my quota for the better.
Do you know I actually asked you that question?
Okay.
It's because if you check, as it stands now, so much is going at the level of Senate, Nigerian National House of Assembly, Senate. So much is going on with the House of Rep and some sector that seems not to be, that are aggrieved. A very good example: House of Assembly, House of Representative and HASU.
Okay.
So much is happening at the level of the executive arm of the government, at the central, like in Abuja. So I want to know your disposition towards all this. Are you the type that you just take time out to think about the failure of the government, think about how patriotic or unpatriotic some people are? That's what actually has. Before that question, I asked you your level to scale yourself, to rate yourself, put yourself on the scale of 1 to 10.
Yes.
So I still want to be very certain of your level of consciousness as regards Nigerian politics.
One thing I see there is that personally, this House of Rep issue and issue of a thing. You know what? When the House of Representatives come into this matter, I could say that is when the the issues starts getting to a resolvement stage.
Mm.
Because the CEC, the Central Executive stuff, I could see they have lesser power in doing certain things because their own is just to execute.
Okay.
Though still here that they are the one executive, they still have some lesser power, and there are some people that are this is Nigerian policies. This aspect of written, if you have asked many students will say it is politics. Do you
Okay,
understand?
to simplify the question again, you watch political programs.
Yes, I do.
Are you a fan of some political programs?
Yes.
Okay, and if you do, and when you are watching, do you feel comfortable or uncomfortable? Do you see yourself being a player in the political, in the involvement? I mean, in the political process.
Okay, if I should talk about the political process, not involvement. The fact is that the political process is not.
Do you see yourself at the center?
Not,
Do you see yourself at the center? Like, for instance, you're watching somebody that is supposed. You're watching some issues that you think if you were to be the one, you would have done it this way or better than what they are doing. Do you at point in time, have such orientation?
Yes. At many times, when I sat down and start thinking about how our leaders are doing outside.
That they're mismanaging the country.
I'll be like, even I can say it vividly that while I was in office in school, I know the way I perform. I know the life I try to impact. I'm kind of person that I love human development capital. I build in human, I build human capacity. So like now I'm from Ondo State, and I could see that I have a candidate of one of the House of Federal Representatives now. So we have one of our sitting there. What all he do is empowerment. All these grinding machine, all this clipper. Is that what we need in this 21st century? So I used to imagine that if assume I'm the one there, I will have do better than this. I will have invest in human development capital, building human.
Okay, I was actually about coming to that. Let's look at your antecedent. Being the youth that you are today, I know you have heard your name very well. I mean, Oluloro Emmanuel. I mean, there's one nickname that you often call that Aluta Melody. Okay, Aluta Melody. Let's look at your antecedent. It's not as if we are actually, campaigning for you because we want to start. No, we want to look at the role of we want to look at what the youth are doing. We want to look at their level of we want to look at their readiness. Let's look at the antecedent. So far, so good. Give it a trace. What have you been able to? I mean, the offices you've been able to. Can you just, put them in a kind of bullet form?
Yeah. Well, thank God for grace. Thank God for everything. While I was the incumbent Assistant General Secretary of the Students Union Government Polytechnic in Ibadan, though we have some internal issues here and there, but still yet, I still try to organize a webinar program that's talk about.
Okay, you're once Assistant Secretary General Polytechnic of Ibadan. Okay. What again? What other offices have you?
Yes, I actually be the incumbent Social Director of National Association of the State Students.
Okay, now who's?
The Social Director of Great Fellowship Club as well. So
and also I was told you own the music ministry.
Yes,
and you must have been a CEO of that. It's okay.
So what I'm trying to say is that I organize a webinar. Like I said earlier on, I love impacting in people. I organize a webinar where all Secretary General or Assistant Secretary General on campus can come together to learn laws of meeting, types of meeting, the recommendations in meetings, you understand? And in my club, I organized a leadership symposium where I brought in Honorable Kazim Bolarinwa, the SA to Sheyi Makinde on youth and sports.
Beautiful.
Yes, I invited him then to come and talk about the roles of individual in developmental and societal growth.
Okay.
After that, I also organize programs on how to build capacities of students, where we train our students on how to set up a small scale business, on how to make shawarma with a low capital fee. And also, I could remember vividly, I facilitated a program at NAOS level where we train our members on how to make soap, how to make beads.
Have you been able to build? Have you been able to, give this to, don't forget that service to humanity It's often time. In short, it's always the best work of life.
Exactly.
I think that should be one of our popular sayings back in
Yes,
back in
one of our GCI.
I think JCI and But let me ask you. Of course, you've been able to impact your environment, your immediate environment. You've been able to affect your environment. There's no doubt about that. But let's take a look at this. Let's look at the politics of the old as against the politics of the young. There's what we call the status quo.
Yes.
Those who are conservative, who want to conserve the status quo, they want to retain the status quo.
Exactly.
They want to maintain because they've been able to master the politics of Nigeria, and they are willing to put bread into the mouths of the citizens to block them up of their dividends or what they ought to have gotten from them, from those politicians. So I want to ask you this question. What can you make a juxtaposition between the politics of the hood, what you think the elderly ones refuse to do, and what the youth or the young ought to be doing, and maybe they are doing, or maybe they are not doing?
One thing is that I do see, and most of the time I do intra-conversation, intra-communication within myself, that, the politics of the old. I have a case at hand now, I wish I would like to use it as a case study. In my state, we have a federal representative at the National Assembly. This man is old.
Mm-hmm.
All he knows is to practice the olden days politics. Our leaders, the olden days politics they do is that they lack 21st century initiative. All what they do is, the norms.
Maybe I don't. Maybe you need to say it louder.
Yes, it's
so it's what I mean by saying it louder is that we don't have to stop saying it.
Exactly.
But don't forget that we have those who are still very much good. From all this. It's not a matter of age, but just right in time in retrospect, in time immemorial.
Okay.
It's stupidity to keep doing the same thing and you're expecting a different result.
That's just facts.
And that doesn't just take us anywhere.
This country, our country has, it has developed to a stage that we just have to bring in new ideas.
But don't forget that even some youth that are the product of their background, if one is not actually careful, they will do worse.
Okay.
So the question is, what has changed over time? For example, we have some Rotary Club. Rotary is not new.
Sure.
JCI not new.
Sure.
We have social clubs that are not new, but some of the current leaders, some good number of them evolved from these social clubs. Some perform, and some maybe along the way they messed.
There's one thing I would love to talk about, and that is influence.
Mm.
Now, in everything we do, influence matters a lot.
Okay.
Though I don't have much knowledge about Oyo State politics, because before I get there, I met our honorable governor Sheyi Makinde. I met him in government. There's one thing I heard about him, that he has no godfather.
Mm-hmm.
Then, so what I'm trying to point out is this matter of influence. Some youth that we have in power today, they get there on the influence of a godfather. And there is no way they will not succumb. They will not tend to the order, to the leadership of these godfathers, because they are the one that put them there.
Okay, let's actually let's stay on course. It was a little bit of digression. Let's come back to the topical discourse. We're looking at the youth readiness and 2023 general election. Let's come back to your own institution now. You belong to one institution.
Exactly.
Let's look at the saturation. How serious were people? Do you think your colleagues are they really talking about 2023 election?
Just to be sincere and to be frank, they are more even serious about this. But it is in two places. I said something before coming here this morning. I posted it on my status. Youth of nowadays, they are more serious for two reasons. Some are more serious for selfish interest, or don't let me call it selfish interest, let me call it self-interest. While some are more serious for the sake of the constituents that they are representing.
Mm-hmm.
For instance now, a youth telling me that this is my principal, I must make sure this person emerge, because I'm very sure that after his emergence, he will give me an essay, maybe special assistant on a particular office. That means that the youth is more ready because of the office
that you want to occupy.
He wants to occupy. And he said after occupying that essay, he will now launch his ambition for House of Representatives. I was like, wow.
So he has a plan.
So it's not that you're even serious because of
do you think being ambitious is it bad?
Yeah, it is not bad.
But it should not be at the detriment of your constituency.
That's the fact. Because this thing I'm talking about, it has affected a lot, and it's even affecting our students' union body.
That's terrible.
It's a menace.
It has become a money making adventure.
Exactly.
Merchandise. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's continue. Let's take a look at the age range. Let's look at your institution, the age range.
Okay.
Do you think so many people how many of you carries the PVC?
I would love to talk about it generally. Because according to the last update I checked about this 2022 voters registration, out of 100%, we have 71.4% of youths that has completely registered. 71.4.
Yeah, the largest. That's highly commendable.
If I can say that, even if all the old cargos vote for their old cargo ferry, and the youth stand that no, we want a change.
Don't forget that even the old cargo, they still have some of them they give birth to the young fellows.
Exactly. So we youth, we have the power, we have the instrument for a better change.
But it is not just enough to be a card carry member.
Okay.
There should be a political will. Are they willing to vote?
Now, I would love to talk on this side as well. I get to understand something when I try to venture in more into politics, that you have to belong to a political party. But individually, my own sentiments, my own
Do you belong to
opinion.
Do you belong to one?
I don't believe that you have to belong to a political party.
Do you belong to any political
party? For now, no. And I have a reason though.
Okay.
Because to be sincere, to be candid, if I will be joining any political party today, tomorrow, I love joining All Progressive Congress. I love that. But
why do you like APC?
The main reason I love the party is because of when I try to check their structure. They are well structured.
So if I may ask you, are you Baptist or articulate or you're obedient?
Talking about these presidential candidates, just to be candid. I don't have a candidate.
You don't have a candidate?
That's just.
But that's one of them will emerge.
Yes.
Why not do if you are not going to vote for any presidential candidate and your school generally, maybe 80% of them are not, then how do the right person emerge?
Let me tell you something. These people, they can't do it alone. We have the senators representing us at the Federal Assembly there, at National Assembly, we have the House of Representatives. Like I myself, I have.
What is your reservation? What clause? What reservations do you have? You don't see any reason why you want to vote for Bola Ahmed Tinubu number 1. You don't see any reason why you want to vote for Peter Obi number 2, and you don't see any reason why you want to vote for Atiku Abubakar. You are just so agnostic about it. You don't want to. You don't have any. You don't have any candidate. It's a little bit. I want to know what.
Yeah. The main reason I said I don't have a candidate is because
you don't believe in any of them.
I don't believe. That's the fact. But the fact is that I will be voting that day for one of them.
Who are you voting? Okay.
I would love to still keep the person now.
Or you are still checking. You want to check. You want to make your research and everything.
Trying to balance the equation.
Okay. Let's continue. What are you doing? Don't forget that we are all political animals. We are all either within our family or our enclaves or whichever area. What exactly? Let's take a look at. What are you doing to conscientize your students?
This is what I always love to tell people. The fact is that the norms is changing, and the norms is that either we vote or not, the person that will emerge will emerge. That's old school language. Nowadays, the norms is changing. The norms are changing. So what I always love to do, whenever I'm sensitizing these people, is that go and get your PVC ready. The fact is that you have to vote, not to fight. Do not allow this old cargo to use you, because the fact is that these are our old politicians. They are using the younger generation. Do not allow anybody to use you. And one thing I always try to do is that I don't confuse people. I don't confuse them. I would rather convince you. That's if I have a specific candidate, I will convince that this is the main reason I see that this person is fit for the task.
Well, have you been able to meet with like the student union body? Have you been able to meet with them? Have you been able to talk to them? Have you been able to let them see the reason why they should do a general sensitization?
There is one thing I would love to see. I would love if you could get the difference between the two. When we're talking about politics and unionism, they are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
In unionism, we are apolitical.
Okay.
You understand? We don't have a specific party. We try to balance the equation between any political party that is running maybe the state level.
Anyway.
So it is not possible for us to be talking about
mainstream politics every time. So you need to be very careful about that. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. But as it stands now, have you been able to meet with the school authority as regards the modus operandi? Because election must be taken seriously.
Sure.
How the school wants you to play, how you're going to play your own part, student union, under the auspices of student union, how you're going to play your own part, and how the school wants to come in. Have you been able to sit down together to make this kind of a discussion?
Like I said earlier, even if some have the motive to call for this kind of meeting, it can't good. Because every individual has his or her own candidate.
Okay. So that you won't turn the school into something else.
Exactly. And it is not a political
yeah, I know. It should be a kind of individual sense.
Exactly.
But even at that, I think there should be ways in which, because there's what we call political apathy. Like I said, it's not just enough to have carried the card. It is also very imperative for people to exercise their franchise during an election. So, what's your take, or what do you think would be the paradigm shift in this upcoming election? What do you think will happen that will be different from the election we've been doing so far?
One thing is that when I'm talking about paradigm shift, that's if you have a positive shift in the racial way. This general election, just to be candidate as an individual, you have to assume it will be bloody.
Okay.
Because we have some candidates that are too ambitious.
Okay.
Over ambitious.
And they are going to they will do anything.
Exactly. They will do everything at their hand to make sure they emerge.
Okay.
So, as an individual, what I would just tell people is that go out there, go and exercise.
But again, do you think the youth will get more involved in this upcoming election?
Very, very well. And it has a reason.
Oh.
I've mentioned one of the reasons there. This general election, it also includes this Federal House of Representatives with the presidential election. I can tell you that some youth are they didn't come out because of presidential election. They may be coming out because of the Federal House of Representatives election.
Don't you think the youth are tired of what is happening in this country? Don't you think everybody seems to be tired of what is happening in this country?
Not even the youth.
Look at how many years now we celebrated 60 of independence.
Yes.
And no cogent power supply. Look at epileptic erratic power supply here and there. You think people still believe in one because of one senatorial seat or one? Don't you think people want to install somebody that they believe in?
Well, do we have anyone that we can say we believe in? That's the first question. I don't think we have anyone that we can say, yes, we believe in this person. And one other thing is that, this country, our constituency now, as a youth, we all have interest. It is our interest that is killing everything. Some people interest is for the betterment of their constituents. It's the betterment of the people, of the citizens of Nigeria. While some people interest is because of what they want to attain. It's because of the position. You know, there are some youths outside there that they know that, oh, this candidate cannot perform well if he or she man. But just because the person has an ambition and he knows that this person is very powerful, it is a good instrument that will catapult my own ambition as well, and that will support my ambition. They will have to, you know, do all they can to support the person, so that though they used to have this this imagination, this assumption that when I get there I will correct the wrongs. But how long are we going to wait?
Well, I think that's a very good place for us to end the discussion. How long are we going to wait?
Exactly. How long are we going to wait for good people to take charge?
To take charge. Who is the good people? Who are the good people?
You know, to be just.
How do you, are they, I mean, is it written on the forehead of every individual?
You know, one thing is that we
and that's why, like I said, that's why there should be a kind of there should be a prerequisite. Like, you need to check the antecedents. Number one, is this person, is it a thief? Number one. Number two, we have to look at his agility and responsiveness. Number three is intellectual capability and capacity.
Sorry.
So all this, if you're able to put all this down, you're able to put it on the paper, and then you place your candidate. You measure. You see, sentiments apart. You know. Anyway, I'm the presenter here. I'm really the one asking the question.
Sorry. Do you know one thing, that antecedents at times doesn't matter?
Okay.
Because while checking the antecedent, I would love you to check the passion.
Okay,
the zeal.
And the zeal, now the passion now.
Exactly. The strength. You know, someone that has the strength to do it, then that is when he has a good antecedent. But the question now that, does this person still have the zeal, the passion, and the strength to do it now?
Okay, we're actually totally out of time. And it's so lovely to have you again in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Viewers at home, you've heard it all. This is where we draw the curtain for today. Do join us next time for another exciting episode. Bye for now.